Welcome to the second episode of the Monster Jam Teardown. Today, we're recapping Monster Jam's return in Arlington, Texas. This is the Monster Jam Teardown. Welcome, Monster Jam fans, to the second episode of the Monster Jam Teardown. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. I'll be joined by Danny McGinley, Wayne Chiaki, and Joshua Tavares in just a moment. But right now, we are previewing Monster Jam's return to competition in Arlington, Texas. You can see the stadium behind us. It is filled with dirt, filled with the obstacles, and each of the 12 athletes are ready to compete tonight. We already gave our predictions, but we got to sit down with Scott Jordan over Zoom a little bit earlier on today. Let's see what he thought for the overall event championship.
My pick for overall event, and I will back this up tonight, is Tom. I think Tom will win. I think his experience in this stadium, going all the way back to 2011, his first event at AT&T, when he literally put the truck, landed it vertically, and that carnage, he calls it maximum wreckage, maximum carnage, maximum destruction. I think he will put enough together. I think he'll at least get into the semis and racing. I think he'll win the skills challenge, and I think he finishes top 3 or 4 in freestyle, and that should be enough to get the win.
Now we are going to preview what our analysts think is going to happen tonight here in Arlington, Texas.
My overall prediction, after having a couple of days to really further review the lineup and understand how the drivers stick to the course over the Instagram videos that Monster Jam has released, I think I'm going to go with none other than the Professor Tom Mentz of Max D Fire. He took those laps pretty nicely from what I saw, and honestly, he could be a really fierce competitor. And here, he likes this dirt, and he loves Arlington, so it's a great combo for the Max D man.
My overall prediction, I think I'm going to stick with what I said earlier in the week. Adam Anderson has, looked really good over the season in the winter, and I think that will continue as he drives Megalodon in AT&T Stadium. He's very consistent in all the competitions, and I think he has a really good shot at taking most of these competitions and the overall event championship tonight.
My overall prediction is going to be Todd LeDuc. Todd LeDuc's been doing great in racing. He's been pretty solid in the skills competition. I've seen him do a lot of great moonwalks, and especially when you balance it on the front 2 BKT tires, it's something the fans really enjoy, and he's been one of the best at it. In freestyle, I know Todd LeDuc is going to send it and absolutely dominate, so we'll see if he'll be able to take it.
Well, you heard all of our analysts here at the Monster Jam Teardown give their thoughts of who you think is going to be the overall event champion. In my personal opinion, I have a strong feeling it's going to be Kristen Anderson in Gravedigger. She has been my pick for the entire week. I said Ryan Anderson in Bakugan Dragonoid on the show, but after seeing the practice laps and after seeing what Kristen wants to do, I think it's going to be Kristen Anderson in Gravedigger taking home the overall event championship. Now, Monster Jam fans, it is time for the highlights of Arlington Event 1. Let's see them. So, guys, some great moments from Arlington Event 1. We are now back home from Texas, recording the rest of this episode. And, guys, some awesome moments from Arlington Event 1. Josh, we'll start with you. What was your favorite moment of the night?
Probably two-wheel skills, honestly. That's where it showed the most skill from, the drivers coming back from 7 months of not being in a Monster Jam truck. I'm pretty sure Lindsay had a lot of rust, and two-wheel skills showed it. And I had a lot of fun watching the drivers come back.
Danny, what about you?
I would have to say racing was very entertaining to watch. It may have just been because it was the first competition we got to see all weekend, but it seemed like, everyone was really going for it, and it felt like all the drivers were very competitive going into all the races.
Wayne, over to you.
I'd have to say my favorite was, first of all, the end of racing when Tom Entz went up against Bryce Kenny. That was an awesome ending to racing competition. And also in freestyle when Todd LeDuc absolutely dominated that night and was able to take home a victory for freestyle. That had to be one of my favorite moments of show number 1.
Now, moving over to some of the best moments of the night. Of course, everyone was talking about Corey Rummel's save in Rage, an amazing save during the Skills Challenge. A good also moment during the Skills Challenge was Ryan Anderson in Bakugan Dragonoid with his bicycle to moonwalk that he has perfected over his couple of years of action. And freestyle had some great moments. Todd LeDuc ended up taking the freestyle win. Tom Mentz and Max D. Fire took home racing, with Ryan Anderson and Bakugan Dragonoid taking home the Great Clips Skills Challenge competition win. But it was, at the end of the night, Tom Mentz, Max D. Fire taking home the overall event championship. And Josh, like we said in the first episode, the Arlington preview, it's Tom Mentz. Getting back into the seat for him is going to be the same as just riding a bike again.
Right. Yeah, I said, I mentioned that, the 28 years of experience that he's had in Max D definitely is going to carry over into Arlington, and it definitely showed. He drove like he never even left the truck before, so it was awesome to see that. I definitely was rooting for him. I had my Max D crew shirt, so obviously I was representing Team Max D, and it was definitely awesome for sure.
Danny, we saw a lot of great moments during Monster Jam Freestyle. I think one of the most heartbreaking moments was Chris Kohler in Axe having some issues with one of his rear tires, ended up getting shut down early and could not finish the first 30 seconds of his freestyle. We'll talk about Event 2 in a second, but how was that heartbreak for you? Because I know you were one of the people that were most excited to see Chris Kohler in Axe on the track.
Yeah, I was really excited to see him. There was a lot of hype going into watching him compete on his first stadium show, I guess. And the trucks break all the time, like it's something that happens, but it was definitely heartbreaking to see that he broke after, I believe, 2 or 3 hits. But yeah, it was definitely hard to watch, but I knew after that point that going into the second event that he'd definitely go a lot bigger than he was able to in the first show.
Wayne, your final thoughts on Arlington Event 1. I know you were sitting on the other side of the stadium from the section we were in, but looked like you were having a great time over there, and you filmed the whole thing, put it on your YouTube channel. What did you think overall of the night?
Man, Josh, it was awesome, other than not being able to get to my seats in time because of many different things going on. But we started off at the 200 section, and then I got kicked out of there, went to the 100 section, but I didn't make it to my seat in time, and I filmed there, and it was so shaky, and then I had to move again because I wasn't at my seat. But then finally, we got to the seat, and boy, was it a good show. But I enjoyed it. Show 1 was awesome. All of us and all the fans in the stadium, we've been waiting 7 months for Monster Jam to come back, and seeing those trucks come through the tunnel full speed ahead after the intro, it was incredible. It's undescribable.
Now let's take a look at some highlights from Arlington Event 2. So day 2 in Arlington, in my opinion, was more exciting than day number 1. Those drivers got a little bit better behind the wheel after so long off. Josh, what was your favorite moment from that Arlington event 2 on Sunday?
Honestly, the best moment, in my opinion, from that show was definitely Kristen versus Todd. I think that was a more shocking thing to happen. Kristen really just came out and almost beat Todd. It was pretty cool to see. Kristen definitely struggled in the first show, and Wayne is over here in the background. Sorry about that, but it definitely Kristen definitely did prove a lot in the second show, and I was very proud with her performance for sure.
Danny, we saw some great moments in the Great Clips Skills Challenge, from Kristen Anderson's save to another bicycle from Ryan Anderson and Bakugan Dragonoid into a small sidewall, and also Bryce Kenny in the Great Clips Mohawk Warrior, who also took home the racing win as well as the Skills Challenge win with a nice moonwalk. It was a great night for Bryce Kenny on those first 2 competitions. I know you're such a huge fan of Bryce. Talk about how it was seeing him win 2 out of those 3 competitions that day in person.
Yeah, it was definitely really cool to see Bryce take those 2 wins. He's been so consistent over the last couple years that he's been on the stadium tours. And, on Sunday afternoon, he showed that he can, beat the likes of Tom Mentz and Ryan Anderson in competitions where they're almost unbeatable. So it was really great to see him take the racing win. I know he was super excited. We could see him on the video board. And in skills, he was also extremely competitive, and his 2 moonwalks were the best of probably the entire weekend. So, yeah, it was really cool to see him finally get those 2 big wins.
Wayne, I want to go back to Chris Kohler now with you, because we saw an amazing full 2-minute freestyle from him on day 2, including a Jim Kohler-like send off of that step up. How was it seeing Chris Kohler excel in acts on day 2?
Man, Josh, just like Danny, I was another huge fan of seeing Chris come into stadiums at Monster Jam, and I'm a big fan of Jim Kohler. My name's Avengers Racing, not fully because of Jim Kohler, but that's just how it came out as. But I am a big fan of Jim Kohler, and seeing his son, Chris, after many months of practicing on the independent scene, coming to Monster Jam was incredible. And my man did great the whole night, and freestyle is where he excelled, like you said. I believe he got the biggest air of the whole weekend. It wowed everybody on Instagram, Facebook, and even in person. And it was just an incredible freestyle. It's something that I didn't expect, because the first day, unfortunately, broke down very early. So he gave it his all the second day. The truck held up. Shout out to Corey, Rummel, and everybody, the whole crew keeping the truck together. And he had an amazing night. So I'm very proud of Chris, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the future.
All right, final thoughts on Monster Jam's return in Arlington, Texas. We'll go Josh, Danny, Wayne. Josh, starting with you, your final thoughts on Monster Jam's return to competition in Arlington, Texas. How were both of those shows for you?
The weekend overall was really good. The drivers, not only showed out in, the 7 months that they've been out of the seat, it definitely, shook a lot of heads for sure. Chris definitely improved in the weekend. He unfortunately didn't do the best in freestyle the first show, and the second show he had a really good freestyle, and a lot of the drivers did show, like Bryce Kenny for sure, and the homies was one of the best things to do with the weekend.
Yeah, it was just so great to see, Monster Jam again after 7 long months, and the show, the events were so fun to watch, so fun to be at. And, hanging out with, us 4 all being there, hanging out at the stadium and outside the stadium. It was definitely worth the trip all the way down to Texas. And, I hope that from here on we get more events announced, and so we can do it all over again.
It was such an incredible time. Just like Josh and Danny said, all of us fans, we've been waiting many months for Monster Jam to come back. And we didn't even expect it to come back this early. So thank you to all of Feld, if any of you watch, for being able to bring back the sport so quick. I didn't even expect it. But it was such an awesome time seeing the trucks come back out, seeing all of our favorite drivers dominate on the track, and also getting to spend times with all of our friends. We were all able to go, thankfully. And we were socially distant, but we all had a blast. And it was so incredible going to Texas. I hope we could do it again. And hopefully Monster Jam will come back very shortly. We'll have to see, but incredible time, and I'm thankful for all of my blessings.
want to give you a slight preview of what is going on in the next couple weeks here at the Monster Jam Teardown. We will be going over each and every championship series from earlier on in 2020 for Monster Jam, beginning with the Triple Threat Series East. So look for those episodes coming up in the next couple of weeks. But for now, we are signing off. For Wayne, Danny, Josh, I am Joshua Lee. Thank you for watching. And remember, this is Monster Jam.